On today's episode, we tackle LinkedIn.
Welcome to Gusto with Ashley Sterling.
Hey guys, welcome to Gusto. My name is Ashley Sterling. Today's episode is episode number 5. Kind of took us a little bit to get to number 5, but I'm excited to keep the weekly podcast going, and I'm also excited to make a little bit of a teaser announcement, if you will. Airing on September 1st, we are producing a brand new podcast called Video World Rewind, and this is going to be a deep dive into movies, facts, fun facts, sad facts, all of the details, famous quotes, who was involved, just fun, interesting pieces of information around movies. Completely different direction than Gusto, but it's definitely one of my passion projects. I'm very, very excited, and stay tuned. I'll have more details next week. Also, in the coming weeks, Gusto will have couple of different amazing guests interviewed on the show, various backgrounds, entrepreneurs, coaches, you name it. If you're interested in being a guest, feel free to go to ashleysterling.com/contact and send me a message, or connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Get in touch with me. We'll make it happen. Now that announcements are over, let's dive right into what today's episode is all about. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, social media platforms, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a bit of a sleepy, boring reputation. It primarily is used by its users when they're looking for a job, or they're looking for freelance work, or another experience, another opportunity. It is so much more than a platform to find a job. It is a networking option. It gives you suggestions on skill enhancement. You can connect with those that you're striving to be like. For example, if you have a CEO or an entrepreneur that you really want to get in touch with, LinkedIn is a great way that you can connect with that individual. Of course, there's folks like Bill Gates that likely won't get in touch with, but if you do, please let me know, because that'd be radical. So we're gonna dive into LinkedIn today, just what your profile should look like, that you shouldn't be shy about being on it and collaborating with folks and leaving comments and sharing what you want to share. So let's get started. LinkedIn offers a few different account types. You can move forward with the free account, which is actually the one that I have. They also have different plans based on what your ultimate goals are. So you have the career plan, business plan, sales, and hiring. So again, it's based off of what you're on LinkedIn to do. The price range for premium is $25.95 to about $95 or $99, $100 per month. Of course, the more you pay, the more benefits you have access to. You can send in messages, you can connect with more individuals, you can get in front of other candidates for a job posting, for example, and it also allows you to see who's checking your profile, which I love this aspect of LinkedIn, that you can see who is interested, who's visiting your profile, primarily because it can be a conversation starter. If you are looking to get into a certain industry and you're connecting with a bunch of individuals who are in that industry, see who checks out your profile and check out their profile. Get in touch with them, make a connection, actually connect with people that you follow on LinkedIn or that follow you on LinkedIn. It's an amazing networking platform. It opens doors that you may have previously not known were there. And just quick disclaimer, this is not an ad. LinkedIn is not paying me to do this episode. It is one of my favorite social media platforms because you can literally develop your page and really truthfully reflect your career history and also what skills you've accomplished. You can include volunteer work. Do you speak multiple languages? So let's talk about what a LinkedIn page should include. I know that many people, or at least I hear this a lot, that people complain about sharing personal details, like sharing pictures of your dog or sharing pictures of your kids. I mean, I think it's a personal choice. It is, a lot of folks will use it instead of Facebook, so they make connections that way. I don't think there's a right or wrong methodology to use LinkedIn. I feel you can post whatever you want to post. It's your LinkedIn. I tend to announce upcoming episodes or blog collaborations or news from my job or just various career or professional related items. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Again, it's your profile. In terms of the layout itself, though, there are a few notable things that you want to include. Number one, you can update your URL so that it is a customized URL. For example, mine is linkedin.com/in/Ashley Sterling. I don't know how I got the first Ashley Sterling, but I'm glad I did. So in terms of updating your URL, number one, it's going to make it easier for you to remember, so you can connect easier with folks at a networking event or on a networking webinar. It's just easier, believe me, instead of, username 12345678910. Though that's a pretty easy name to remember, if I'm going to be honest. The second thing that you will want to update is your headshot. If you don't have a headshot, if you go to my profile, the picture that I have there was taken by my colleague on her Google Pixel. It is not a professional photo, but it is professional looking. So you want to make sure that it's a headshot. It's not a selfie. It's not you doing the duck face. It's a representation of you professionally. I mean, in terms of like being an entrepreneur for, let's say, a beer or whiskey company, having a beer or whiskey in your profile picture is probably appropriate. Based off of your industry and based off of the professional connections that you want to make, that should be reflective in your profile picture. And then in addition, the LinkedIn header, you can customize this. If you listen to last week's episode, Canva has a LinkedIn banner option in terms of dimensions. So you can use that to customize your LinkedIn banner and kind of make it represent either you or the company you work for, or, again, that's a little fun area that I like to see a lot of customizations there. I see a lot of families. So yeah, have fun with that section. I think that's just my opinion. And then in terms of what it is, like the details that you want to have listed out, first of all, you want to have your name or the name that you want to be called and your latest position. So mine, for example, says Director of Operations at The Loop Marketing and host of Gusto with Ashley. Host of Gusto with Ashley is just kind of in there for, a shameless plug. I want people to listen to this podcast. But it also has my most recent location, Chicago, Illinois. And then it has 500 plus connections. This is something that I want to emphasize on. 500 plus connections. It doesn't matter if you have 501, but showcasing 500 plus connections reflects a serious approach to networking, to connection. And it is one of the first things that a C-suite executive coach actually informed me to do. Pretty much everything that we just went through, he was like, update your headshot, make sure it's a headshot, not a selfie. Update your connections, I think at the time I had like 35 connections, and have a updated and reflective LinkedIn page. You don't have to use LinkedIn just to find a job. LinkedIn is powerful. It is, you can ask any of my colleagues. I am on LinkedIn every single day. I love LinkedIn. I love messaging people. I love connecting with people. I love the types of opportunities that come just from, being like, hey, I loved your blog here. Would you be interested in collaborating? Most of the time they're going to say, hell yes, I am. So don't just think of LinkedIn. I know it can be a tad bit boring, but don't just think of LinkedIn as your executive, only using it for job search kind of platform. It's so much more than that. And again, this is not an ad. Real quick, we've gone through the URL, the LinkedIn banner, the photo, as well as latest job title, location, and then how many connections you have. So let's dive into a little bit about the About section and further down the profile. My About section comes directly from my website. It's just a real quick summary that focuses on things that I would like to share with connections. Focuses that I've been in marketing for roughly 5 years, give or take. It also showcases the various jobs that I've had in the past, and just that it's a bit of a different approach. A non-traditional approach is typically what I like to call it. So your About Me can be reflective of who it is you are as an individual in the professional sense. So, do you focus on what is your mission? What is your mission at the end of the day when it comes to why you want to connect with people? Do you want to grow your network? Do you want to rescue animals? Do you want to save the rainforest? What is your mission? That's a really good way to focus on how to write your About Me section. If you aren't a writer, again, you can go for, there's plenty of resume or copywriters out there that will charge you $25 and write a great about you, or about me. So moving beyond the About Me section and going down a little bit, I love the experience section. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I update my experience section maybe once a quarter. I want to make sure that it is up to date, that it is properly reflected. And it also just kind of helps me see, the various things that I've accomplished, and it makes me feel good. I'm also a huge fan of the date references, right? So for my latest role, Director of Operations, October 2019 to now, it's at 11 months. I love waking up on the 1st and checking that. I love watching my experience in terms of time grow. I love it. It's my jam. But use this section to really explain what it is that you do. Explain your experience. Think of it like a resume teaser, or almost like a teaser in terms of what your experience brings to the table for collaboration or an interview, or when it comes to, a copywriter reaching out to speak with experts. If you have the right kind of information listed there, you could very well be the expert that they want to talk to. How will they know unless it's in there? But in terms of updating your experience, if you've had title changes throughout your time at a specific job, make sure that that is included and well fleshed out. Show that you grew. Show that you moved throughout the company. Highlight the different variables of what it was that you did. The first position that you had, the second position, the third, the fourth, the fifth. I mean, if it goes on, great. But certainly keep the dates accurate. List the location in there as well. If you need a reference point, take a look at my LinkedIn. Another feature that I really like for LinkedIn is the fact that you can attach an attachment to your various experiences, your various titles. For example, I have 2 letters of recommendations from two amazing employers. One is Michael Lipton from Leicester, and the other is Candy Ross from VCA Animal Hospital in Albuquerque, New Mexico. While they're a couple of years old, it still just speaks to their interaction with me as an employee or my interaction with them, details that they felt were important for future employers to know. I just love having them on there because I think it's a bit nostalgic for me, to be quite honest. I loved my time at VCA. I loved my time at Leicester. I like looking back at that and just seeing how far my career has come since then, and reminiscing a little bit. Then after experience, you have education. Just keep this up to date. If you have a lot of degrees, make sure it's included in there. If you went to a trade school like I did for cosmetology, list it in there. It just showcases that you applied yourself and that you went into a different aspect of education beyond high school. If you didn't, so what? It's totally fine. Licenses and certifications. This is another area of obsession of mine. I love to add certifications, especially when it comes to like SEO services or what have you. So there are plenty of classes out there or certificates that you can gain and that you can apply to your licenses and certification section, and it just reflects maybe a little bit more detail about where your expertise is focused. It's also just a great opportunity to make connections with the companies that you get the certifications from, for example. Volunteer experience. I love this section. I love seeing what people volunteer for. I'm a huge animal person, so I have the two volunteer experiences that I've had the pleasure of partaking in the past, and I'm hoping to grow that. But this is a great place to include anything that you've done for charity or volunteer work. Skills and endorsements. This is also an amazing section for connections. So let me explain. So the skills and endorsements section allows you to showcase various skills that you have acquired in your experience, but also having the ability to be endorsed by previous colleagues or previous employers, or even people who know you in the industry. It's a great way to build connections. It's a great way to highlight your skills, and it's a great conversation starter. For example, typically if I make a connection, I'll go into their profile. If I know them specifically, I'll go into their profile and then I will endorse them for a couple of skills that I know that they have. And it's just a great way to be like, hey, thanks for the endorsements. Thanks for that. Thanks for taking the time, and then typically they'll come into your profile and return the favor. That's not the ultimate goal, but again, it's a great conversation starter. It's a great way to remain top of mind, and it's just kind of fun. And then, of course, you have your accomplishments. My colleague actually can speak 5 languages, so this section is an area where she can showcase all of those amazing skills. But in terms of various accomplishments, include them here. Don't be shy. Highlight them. And then you have your interests, various companies that you want to follow, that you want to be involved in. It's just a great opportunity to, just highlight what drives you. Highlight companies that interest you. Maybe there's a company that you want to connect with and you want to work for. Follow them, see what they're doing, see how they're growing. Involve yourself in their LinkedIn posts, involve yourself in collaboration with them, and it puts you in a better position to stand out, and it also gives you some great connections within the company. So that's kind of my take on LinkedIn as a whole. I think that it is a amazing tool. It's just I mean, it's free, all the way up to $100 a month, depending on what your ultimate goals are. It's a great place to find new job opportunities. It's a great way to make connections, especially, if you just moved to a new place. Make connections with people who are local to you. Just start building your network. Don't be shy. It is not a boring platform whatsoever. It is highly intuitive. It is an amazing place to connect, to collaborate, to build a reputation, to make announcements. I just love it. I'm obsessed. I'm guilty. Thank you guys for joining me today and discussing LinkedIn. A new episode will premiere next Wednesday. And until then, I'm Ashley Sterling, and you are a champion. Thanks, guys.
For more resources, head to ashleysterling.com and subscribe to Gusto with Ashley Sterling wherever you listen to podcasts.